Qui Gon Jinn is the first amongst the Jedi to achieve the closest thing to immortality, transferring himself into the Force upon death, allowing him to live on and even instruct Obi-Wan years after his demise at the hands of Darth Maul. Which brings me to my biggest question as a kid, and even till, well, I read this book. How could a Jedi capable of all this, teaching Obi-Wan and Yoda how to live on through the Force, not be a part of the Jedi Council? Even if you were to go by his lineage of masters, Count Dooku, who was also instructed by Master Yoda. But when the book Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray came out, not only did we get an insight as to what their relationship was as, well, Master and Apprentice, but the exact reasons to why Qui-Gon wasn't in the Jedi Council. It is often believed or assumed that he was never invited to join the Council because Qui-Gon is rebellious and disagrees with the changes to the Jedi Order. I want to quote the book here by his misgivings, and it goes as follows. Qui-Gon knew the Council to be wrong about many things. He felt that it allowed the Jedi Order to become a sort of Chancellor's police, rather than concentrating on knowing the Force. Yes, they were wise to refuse to rule, but unwise to simply accept the status quo. Short-sighted to lose touch with the living Force by spending so much of their time enforcing laws that could easily be left to civilian authorities. Immoral to refuse against acts such as slavery, but none of these were the reasons he'd chosen to decline. Well, isn't that a damning statement on its own? This backs up everything we know about Qui-Gon, and he really didn't like what the Jedi had become, but it didn't change how he believed he should act. He has a really interesting conversation with another former pupil of Count Dooku's called Rael Averross, which was about the light and dark, and if he really did believe in prophecies, and that eventually there will be balance, just as much good as evil in the galaxy, and if so, why even bother? To which he says, I don't follow the light side because I want to win. We choose it because it's the light. One thing that may shock you guys that is despite all his misgivings, grievances with the Council, and some of them with him, he was still invited to join them, although Yoda did vote against it. However, there were two reasons he declined, and one of them is rather simple in the grand scheme of things. Masters among the Jedi Council were not allowed to keep Padawans. This was generally because they were so busy with their duties, they didn't have the time, which meant if he were to accept, he would have to stop training Obi-Wan, and at his age, and where he's at as a Jedi, would almost end his chance of really growing and going further in the Order. There was another disagreement with the Council, which led to Obi-Wan talking to them about what to do, and it led to a question of, do we rethink our offer for Qui-Gon to join the Council? However, Yoda said no, they wouldn't, so maybe he does approve more than we realise. Later on at the end of the mission, when Master and Apprentice are discussing this, Obi-Wan is almost certain that he would accept it because who wouldn't? The Council is the ultimate goal. However, I'm going to quote them again, and it goes as, what was there to think about? Then Obi-Wan had a thought. Are you choosing my future, Master? Qui-Gon nodded. As a matter of fact, I am. Now the second reason needs some background info. Qui-Gon has had an on-off fascination with the prophecies since he was a youngling. Dooku studied these alongside him, as it was often viewed by many Jedi as a path to the dark side. And another reason why the mystics based purely on prophesizing the future is no longer a part of the Order. But on his mission in Pajal, a vision comes to him, showing places he hadn't seen before that when he visits them, are identical to what he saw in the vision. What he foresaw, what the Force told him, affected so many aspects such as adding fears, trying to change your future, and more. This vision foretold screaming, blood, and later realizing his Padawan Obi-Wan would be in the middle of it, only making matters worse. So when the Council asks him, will he join them, he gives the following reason. My relationship to the Force has changed, Qui-Gon said. I wish to be silent for a while, to surrender to it, to accept whatever the Force brings. Joining the Council would take me far away from that goal, but this is the path I must follow. That, in the end, was why prophecies weren't dangerous to him. Not the same way they'd been to others who'd been led to darkness. The danger came in thinking that knowing in the future became a form of control over it. Finally, Qui-Gon understood it was the exact opposite. Knowing the future meant surrendering to fate, surrendering to ebb and flow of life. Only through surrender could the Force be truly known. And I really enjoy the joke where Obi-Wan says, you couldn't even agree with the Council's decision to bring you in. But what do you guys think? This was a question I always saw answered really simply, and both when the question came and the relationship between Master and Apprentice, along with the answer itself, much more complicated, I really did enjoy this book by Claudia Gray. And I was honestly reading several chapters a sitting because I couldn't not find out what happened next. But I digress. I hope you enjoyed finding out why Qui Gon Jinn wasn't in the Jedi Council. Until next time, may the Force be with you. Always.